Welcome back. I'm Stephanie Ruhle. Please don't get up to go to the bathroom. Coffee. I want you to pay attention to this. Last night, late-night host Jimmy Kimmel made his return to Jimmy Kimmel Live, and he brought along a very special guest, his 7-month-old son. Kimmel was out last week while his son underwent a second heart surgery. During his return, he made an emotional plea to protect a children's health insurance program known as CHIP that Congress let expire in October.
CHIP is the children's health insurance program. It covers around 9 million American kids. Overwhelmingly, Democrats and Republicans supported it until now. Now CHIP has become a bargaining chip. It's on the back burner while they work out their new tax plans. I don't know what could be more disgusting than putting a tax cut that mostly goes to rich people ahead of the lives of children.
I want to bring back my panel, Steve and Eddie. Steve, 9 million kids get their health insurance through CHIP. 9 million kids who didn't choose poverty. This thing gets wide bipartisan support. Why is it being held up? Why is this an issue?
Welcome to 2017 and the collapse of decency, rigor in the congressional policymaking process.
But this one's a no-brainer.
Of course it is. This was always popular with both Republicans and Democrats, had broad bipartisan support, should never have lapsed. It should absolutely be reauthorized. But again, Congress has an approval level somewhere around 15–16%, and they didn't get there overnight. It's well earned. And the country despises the Congress because of issues like this.
A pediatrician from the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, which is one of the best children's hospitals in the country, wrote a piece for the Washington Post, and I want to share what he wrote. Every day I see patients in my practice who stand to lose their health care if Congress does not act to extend funding. Those of us on the front lines of medicine remember well the time that we turned children away solely because their families were working hard to raise themselves out of poverty. Help me, Eddie. States had enough money for a few months, but it truly is running out. We're going to face January, and states like Colorado have warned people, your kids won't be insured. Right. Why don't they have money for this? Right. This seems like such an... America voted for bipartisanship. They voted because they felt like President Trump was not an ideologue, and he would be pragmatic. Help me understand why there wouldn't be the money for this.
Well, there's kind of cruelty and callousness that kind of rule the day.
But who does that win for?
Who
says, right on, man, don't help the kids? That's what I just can't figure out.
You think about what Senator Orrin Hatch said on the floor in the Senate, that we are broke, we don't have the money, and we know that the estate tax that's in the tax plan is actually more expensive than CHIP. What we have here, Stephanie, and I see the emotion, what we're running here is a value deficit. We talk about monetary deficits, but we have a value deficit in this country. What do we value? What do we cherish? How do we extend to our fellows dignity and standing? And the most vulnerable among us, children.
But what is the Republican rationale? One of Roy Moore's points, I think it was, Roy Moore loves children, Doug Jones loves abortion. If it is the party of family values, and in order to be a family, that includes children, then who wants...
Greed and power.
Then help me, who at the Republican roundtable says, let it ride?
The hypocrisy and the rot are worthy of discussion, the meanness, the cruelty, but this is very simple to understand, and it gives me no pleasure to say this.
I've spent my life, I can't figure it out.
I've spent my life in the Republican Party. It gives me no pleasure to say this. This party has demonstrated a complete incapacity to govern, period. And I think that there will be a tsunami come 2018 that wipes it away.
You're still not answering my question. I want to understand, who is the body that's saying, this isn't a good political move, we don't have the money? They have the money when they want the money.
Part of what I'm trying to say is that there is a hierarchy of concern. We don't have the money because we're busy giving money to our donors. We don't have the money because we're governing for the top 1%. The top 1/10% is greed and power.
Who, you and I have met a number of... Steve Wynn's a great guy. Steve Wynn, who raises money for the RNC, the Grand Poobah over there, is like, yep, forget the kids. Who's the person who says, let's not do this?
They don't care period.
Wow.
The government is corrupted. It's corrupted. It is not about regular people. It is not about that vulnerable child. This tax bill is a payoff, corrupt from A to Z to the special interest constituencies. One thing that Jimmy Kimmel said was wrong. Rich people aren't benefiting from this. Faceless multinational corporations are benefiting from this. They've even taken rich people out of the equation as beneficiaries of the programs. So this is a bought and paid for corrupted institution, and the American people revile it. They've assigned it a 15–16% approval level, and there's good reason for that. But there's no understanding here other than the broad understanding of the magnitude of the corruption.
And this is for corporate America. This is why they don't have the money, because they're giving a corporate tax cut.
I mean, we saw that on the floor with Senator Hatch responding to Senator Brown.
Yes.
That's basically what he said. I co-authored Chip. We simply don't have the money after they just pushed through highway robbery, called it the current tax cut.
This thing is stunning. All right, gentlemen, I'm going to lose you now. What's your final message for the day? This is an important day in politics.
Pedophiles and child molesters should not serve in the United States Senate.
But what if people say, I don't believe that? For those who say, I don't believe those women, I don't believe the Washington
Post. Then the skirmish line falls back to the United States Senate. Mitch McConnell has said he believes the women. He's acknowledged him as a child molester. Begin the proceedings to expel him. And if the Republican United States Senate won't do that, we fall back to the final skirmish line on this question, which is the election in November of 2018. Then for 11 months, we'll have to endure a child molester in the United States Senate until the American people, with their righteous anger, will have the ability to weigh in when they walk into voting booths in all 50 states, in every town, in every county in this country, and then they get to weigh in on pedophile,
okay, before we go, put pedophile and child molester on the back burner. Is Alabama going to vote for someone who says gay people can't have children and 9/11 was a product of bad behavior that we did to ourselves?
And let's just be very clear. Maybe. And let's be very clear. It's not, Alabama is not an exception here. That reflects broad tendencies across the country. I want to just jump to a certain level of generality. Each generation must achieve democracy for itself. Each generation. And so here we are in this moment of crisis, and it is a moment of national crisis. We have to do the work that democracy requires of us because it's fragile and it's on life support. It's on life support. So folks need to go out to the polls. Folks not only need to go out to the polls, they need to take control of their immediate circumstance and in some ways try to save the country from itself.
Gentlemen, I am honored that you came.